All right, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us for our webinar in, I guess it's March. Crazy, time has been flying by. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about digital assets and how you take care of your digital assets. Those of you that have been to our presentations before, when we do these in person, just as a reminder, these are very informal, so feel free to ask questions as we're going through. There's really a couple ways you can ask questions. The first and easiest way is just to type your question into the little chat box that you have there on your Zoom screen, and we'll go through those. And the other way is, I guess you could just pop on the video or unmute your microphone and ask a question. So feel free to jump in anytime, ask questions. That's what we want you to do. These are educational. They're meant to help you and to educate you. So if you have questions, feel free and go ahead and ask those. We'd be happy to answer them. So when it comes to digital assets, let's first define what a digital asset is, and then let's talk about how we deal with your digital assets inside your estate plan. So a digital asset, it used to be digital assets, we were really just focused on kind of like your social media stuff, your email accounts, your Facebook accounts, your Twitter accounts. That's kind of how it was narrowly defined, 10, 15 years ago was social media. And now it's been very much broadened because we have Bitcoin and cryptocurrency stuff that's very prevalent, and we need to take that into account as well. In addition to online banking accounts, all the stuff that we keep in the cloud. If you're like me, all of my photos are in the cloud. All of my music, I don't have, records anymore, vinyl, even though vinyl is now coming back and my kids are collecting vinyl records, which I think is odd, but it's all in the cloud. It's cloud-based. And so if I should die or become incapacitated, how does my wife gain access to all of my photos? How do my kids gain access to the hundreds of dollars worth of music that I've bought over the years sitting in my cloud storage somewhere? Those are things that need to be dealt with now. So when we talk about digital assets, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about cryptocurrency. We're talking about email accounts, Facebook accounts, all your social media accounts, your iCloud accounts, all of those kinds of things. And so how do we deal with those things when incapacity or death occurs? The best thing that you can do, number one, is make sure that there's 3 documents that kind of deal with those things. Number 1 is your financial power of attorney. Number 2 is your will, and number 3 is your trust. So your financial power of attorney, your will, and your trust should have language in them that deals with these types of assets. So there should be language in your document that says, upon my incapacity, my power of attorney has the ability to manage all of my digital assets and gain control of my digital assets and gain information about my digital assets. And your trust and your will should say, upon my death or incapacity, my trustee of my trust or my personal representative of my will have access to all my digital assets, and it has the authority to gain control of these assets. Looks like we have someone that just jumped in the waiting room. And so the first thing is, let's make sure that our legal documents, our financial power of attorney, our will, our trust, have language in them that deals with digital assets. All of you that have worked with me in the last 10, 15 years, if you've updated your documents in the last 10, 15 years, all of your documents, I can assure you, have that language in it, because we've been putting that language in our documents for the last, like I say, 15 years or so. So you can be assured, as long as your documents have been updated in the last 10 or 15 years, you can be assured that we put language into your power of attorney, your will, and your trust that deals with digital assets. So you're covered there. So that's the first thing that we need to do. Make sure the language is in those documents that deals with those types of assets, the digital assets. The second thing, and probably even the more important thing, is to make sure that we have a list of all of our digital assets and the website, the username, and the password for those digital assets. So inside your binder that we gave to you, if you If you have your old binder from Morris Hall, when I used to be with my old law firm Morris Hall, it was in your binder there at the very end called your legacy planning tab. There was a homework sheet in there. It says digital assets at the top of it. It's one of those pages I put a sticky note at the top of that page. If you remember, the sticky note means that's something you can and should write on and get filled out and get done. And so if you go back through your binder, you'll probably see that sticky note that's sitting at the top of your page, and you'll open up at that page and you'll say, oh yeah, sure enough, it's here. And yep, I never filled it out, because most people don't. But that's something that you should do. So in there, you should be listing, hey, I've got a Hotmail account, I've got a Gmail account, I've got a Facebook account, I've got a Twitter account, I've got an online banking account with American Express, I've got cryptocurrency with Bitcoin, and it's here. And then you should have all the usernames and passwords to access that information, so that your trustee, your power of attorney knows, okay, there's 15 different digital assets, and here they all are. These are different organizations I got to get in touch with, so we can close down the email account, close down the Facebook account, close down the Twitter account, gain access to the iCloud photos and music and all that kind of stuff. The only way that your trustee is going to know that stuff even exists or that's sitting out there is if you've made a list of it, and then the passwords and usernames to gain access to it. Now, with that said, you have to understand that even if we put the language that needs to be in your trust document and your will and your power of attorney, and you list all of your digital assets on that homework sheet, there's still a lot of work that happens when you do die, and it can still be very difficult to gain access and control of these digital assets. And that's because the institutions that your trustee and your power of attorney and your personal representative of your will are working with don't like to give out information. Most of these companies are in the business of privacy. Apple wants to keep things private. That's one of the things that makes it so enticing to customers, is that we know our information is private, that nobody can get in there and get our information. So when death or incapacity occurs, you have to realize that when Apple gets a phone call from your daughter, son, niece, nephew, whoever's in charge of your estate, saying, hey, this is Bill Smith, my uncle John Smith died from a heart attack. He's given me a list of his iCloud accounts that he has with you. I need to gain control of the account and gain control of the photos and the music and all the other stuff that I have there. Realize that that's not going to be an easy process, right? Just because of all the restrictions and the red tape that Apple and Facebook and all these other companies are going to make you jump through, or your loved ones jump through to gain control. So one way you can make it easier for your trustee and your loved ones is to contact these institutions, which I know is a pain in the butt for you to do, and it takes time and energy and effort, but you certainly can contact them ahead of time while you're alive and have capacity, because they are much more likely to talk to you. Apple's much more likely to talk to you and give you information. Facebook's much more likely to talk to you and give you information. Google's much more likely to talk to you and give you information because it's your account. You're the owner of the account, than they are to talk to somebody that is not on the account, a son, a daughter, a niece, a nephew, a spouse. So if you want to be super proactive about it, what you can do is contact Apple and say, hey, upon my demise or incapacity, can I list with you a backup custodian? Can I list with you a backup person that will have access to this information when I do become incapacitated or die? And some of these companies will allow you to list an agent on file with the organization. So now they know that you, as the owner, have given authorization to your daughter, your niece, your nephew, whoever you want to have access to this information. And so they won't question them as much. They're not going to give them as much pushback when death does occur, because you've already put them on file with Apple and Facebook and Google and all these other companies. So that would be one way that you could do that to alleviate a lot of the struggles and the difficulty that your executor, your trustee is going to have in dealing with your digital assets after you pass away or become incapacitated. So some things to think about. Those of you that do have cryptocurrency, that is something that you need to come in and sit down and talk to us about. There's a lot of nuances that go with cryptocurrency. So if you've just gotten into investing in Bitcoin and whatnot, they have these wallets, and you have to have the passwords and the things that go with the wallets. And so we just want to make sure that we talk to you about that. So if you do have cryptocurrency, it might be a good idea to come in and sit down so we can talk about how you deal with those types of assets upon your passing. Those are assets just like your checking account or savings account, right? So it all should be titled or tied into the trust in some way, shape, or form. Otherwise, just like if I had a house that was outside the name of my trust and I die, then the house goes through probate. Bitcoin is a valuable asset, and if we die and that Bitcoin is just in our name and we don't have people that have access to it, and it's not tied to our trust in some way, shape, or form, then it goes through probate and it's a mess and a lot of work to get control of it. So those are some things to consider and to think about. Digital assets it's kind of exploded in the last 15-20 years or so with all the different types of digital assets, and that's just the way everything's going is digital. Like I say, most of the stuff that we even do at our office, it's all digital. All of your documents, all of you that are clients that are on our Zoom call today, I don't have a storage facility, a U-Haul storage facility that's got 800 binders sitting in it somewhere. All of our documents are digitally stored. And so that's the way things are going. And I think you'll see more and more of this growing in this area with digital assets. You just need to be prepared for that, understand how they work, make sure that your loved ones know about the digital assets, what organizations you have the digital assets with, and how they gain control of it. Dropbox, your Google Photos accounts, if you have those are all digital assets. So hopefully that makes sense. Any questions on digital assets and how they work and what you need to be doing with those? If you do, you can type them in your chat box there, or if you have a question that has nothing to do with digital assets, you have another burning question about your estate planning documents that you want to type in, feel free to type that in. The thing that I always advocate to clients is be organized. The best thing you can do is to be organized. And so with digital assets, how you're organized is making a list, like I say, of the digital assets, the usernames, the passwords, the websites for those digital assets. But for everything else, it's just being as organized as you possibly can. At some point, we're all going to die. It's going to happen. And so when we do pass away, do our loved ones know about all the assets that we have? Do they know where to find our estate planning binder? Do they know the people that they're going to have to get in touch with, our credit card companies, our insurance agents, our bills that we have every single month that we're paying for, so they can contact them, our utilities, all those things. Just make it as organized as you possibly can to make it as easy as possible for those that are going to be dealing with everything after you're gone. And they're not cursing your name because they're having to deal with the mess after you passed away. You made it as easy as possible. So any questions on any of that stuff? There's not a whole lot more to really go into in digital assets unless there's any specific questions. So if not, then we will do our drawing for a gift basket that we do every single month for those of you that have attended. And Lisa has put everybody's name into a cup here, so we're going to draw a name. No favorites here, I promise. I'm not looking in here. All right, we have Stan Lynn. Stan Lynn, you have won our gift basket for this month. So Stan will have Elisa reach out and get in touch with you, and we'll figure out a way to get you that gift basket. Either you can drop it in the office, or Elisa will find a way to get that to you. Oh, looks like we had one join here a little bit late. So I'll just do a quick recap because we just had a couple people join a little bit late to our Zoom call. And a quick summary, I think that will help all of us. Just remember, digital assets consist of your social media accounts, your email accounts, your online banking accounts, your cryptocurrency. Those are all digital assets, okay? And so you need to, your iCloud accounts, those are digital assets. So my iTunes, my iCloud, where I keep my photos and all that kind of stuff, those are all digital assets. And you want to make sure that you have a list of all of those digital assets. You have a list of the websites, the usernames, and the passwords for each of those digital assets in your estate planning binder somewhere. There's a homework sheet in your binder. If it's your old Morris Hall binder, it's in the back. If you've been in to see me, it's also in the back of your book. So you have a homework sheet in there. It's titled Digital Assets. And you can list all the digital assets, the websites, the usernames, and the passwords. That's all on that homework sheet. So you can list all that in there. And then the other thing you could do to make it easier, in addition to that, is you can contact the institution. You can contact Apple, you can contact Facebook, you can contact Google, and you can say, hey, when I die, or if I become incapacitated, this is the person I want to have control or access to this account, and see if that institution will allow you to put them on as a custodian of the account should you die or become incapacitated. That will make it a lot easier for your loved one when you pass away or become incapacitated. So that's kind of a quick summary of the digital assets and how those work. Once again, I just advocate stay organized, keep everything up to date. If you haven't been in to see us in the last 3 years, remember, every 3 years is when you should be coming in for a review. If you want to come in every year, we don't mind that. If you want to come in more often than 3 years, that's fine. Remember, there's never a fee for consultations. There's only a fee if we do a drafting or we do legal work or a change that has to take place. But every 3 years, you should be coming in, having your stuff looked at, reviewed. So it's been over 3 years. It's time to come in for that checkup, and then just stay up to date with everything as far as staying organized, so your trustee knows where to find everything. So anyway, I hope that was helpful to everybody. Thanks everybody for attending our Zoom call today. And if you know you need an appointment, just call into our office, and Lisa or Kimber will be happy to set up the appointment for you. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.